House B.E.Z.D.Y, Courier of the Doomed. Part 1, The Fateful Delivery. Stas, an ordinary, unremarkable guy. 27 years old, lonely, has been working as a courier for the Molnya company for 10 years now. This morning, not a short route awaited him. A full 5 deliveries. Waking up early in his studio apartment, he washed up, brushed his teeth, quickly ate whatever was on hand, and without wasting time, got into his old, beat-up clunker of a sedan and drove towards the warehouse. At the warehouse, as usual, he picked up the packages, the orders, and began planning a convenient route. 3 addresses in the Cheryomushki district, then one in a private housing area on the outskirts. But the last one was strange. Address 66 B.E.Z.D.Y Street. He blinked. Reread it. He didn't know such a house, and yet he knew the area like the back of his hand. He'd been driving around here for 10 years. Maybe new construction? Stas thought. Whatever. It needs doing. We'll do it. He launched the navigator, started his car shower, and set off. Packages 1, 2, 3 went smoothly. Elderly grandmothers, a couple of sullen guys. The usual stuff. Boring. Even dreary. He briefly considered grabbing coffee and cigarettes before the last address, but then waved the thought away. Nah, I'll get there faster, and head home. As he entered the private housing area, the sun was already setting. The air turned cool, and a prickle of unease ran through him. What nonsense, he muttered under his breath. I'm 27 and scared of the dark like a kid. He reached the 4th address, handed over the package, turned back, and that's when it started. Lesnaya Street. The navigator led him down a narrow road. The road kept narrowing, more and more, until it turned into an almost overgrown path. The car began to shake violently on tree roots, the headlights snatching only darkness and rustling leaves on the sides. Where am I even driving? Flashed through his mind. But the package remained. One. The last one. He checked the GPS. The signal started glitching. Frozen coordinates on the screen. 66B. He stopped. In front of him, rusty gates. On the sign, 66B. Entry by invitation only. What damn invitation? He breathed it out. And at that moment, the headlights flickered. The car stalled. Silence. Only the rustling of the forest. He got out of the car. The package was small, a black box, tightly wrapped with twine. On it, handwriting, for her. Do not open, ever. Okay, creepy, he muttered, but work is work. He pushed the smaller gate within the main gates. It creaked and seemed to swing open by itself. Deeper in the yard stood House 66B, 2-story, elongated, semi-ruined, a darkened roof, windows boarded up from the inside. But in one window, a dim, yellow light glowed. He walked on the damp ground. The air was thick, heavy, as if you could cut it with a knife. On the porch stood a figure, female, dressed in black, long arms, face covered by a veil. She didn't move, just watched. Delivery, he mumbled and held up the box. This is for you. The figure nodded, slowly, unnaturally, almost like a mannequin. He approached, handed her the box, and the moment her fingers touched the package, a wave of cold washed over his body. His heart clenched. The figure whispered, "You have delivered it. Now you belong to her." What? He didn't manage to finish. The door swung open. From inside came a cry. Female? No. Childish? No. Distorted, hoarse, as if from another world. Wind. He was pulled inside as if by a vortex. The door slammed shut. Part 2. House 66. B. The Trap. He woke up inside. For a second, it seemed like someone's silly joke, but only for a second. What the hell is this? Stas muttered, looking around. Is this some kind of joke? He rushed to the door, tried to open it. Useless. The handle didn't even budge, as if it was just part of the wall, like a dummy, like a deception. He turned around, yelled, "Is anyone here? Open the damn door. What the hell are you planning?" The only answer was a muffled echo, sliding along the dusty walls, and a pungent smell, rot, mold, and rust, like in a long-forgotten cellar, and then a sound, somewhere above, barely audible at first, then clearer and clearer. A rustle, a scrape, as if someone was slowly scratching the floor with claws. "I can hear you." Stas's voice broke. "I'll call the cops if you don't let me out right now." But the house was silent. Cold crept up from his feet. Fear slowly entwined his body. His shirt stuck to his back. He was drenched in sweat. He frantically pulled out his phone, tried to call. No signal. Not a single bar. This is already, damn it, not funny. He exhaled, his voice trembling. "What the hell's going on here?" He darted to the nearest window, took out a folding knife from his pocket. It had a glass breaker on the other side, swung back, hit! Silence. The glass didn't even crack, as if it were not real. Panic began. He darted from window to window, tried to open other doors, but muffled, empty, no exit. As if the house itself was playing with him, savoring his fear. And then, finding himself at a solid wall, he noticed a staircase to the side. He sighed and decided, "I'll go up." He remembered seeing from the outside, part of the second floor was destroyed. But upon going up, he realized everything was intact, and even too intact. And then, sounds, rustles, creaks, from the darkness of the corridor. There wasn't a single window on the second floor. Not a crack, not a ray of light. He turned on his flashlight. Before him, an open door. The very room from which a dim light streamed through the window as he approached the house. Now, darkness inside. Silence. And cold. He went in, looked around. The room was empty. Almost. Only in the corner, behind the baseboard, lay a crumpled, bloodied piece of paper. He picked it up. An old consignment note. Courier's name, Sergey. Delivery time, 22:37. He silently shoved it into his pocket and went back out into the corridor. At the other end of the corridor, he noticed scattered books. But he didn't pay them attention then. A muffled thud came from below. A voice inside whispered, "If I get out, I'm quitting. To hell with it." He ran downstairs. Maybe there's someone there? The thought flashed in his mind. Another courier? Damn, anyone? From below, loud banging. A knock at the door. Clear, sharp, relentless. He moved towards the sound, past rooms, until he found himself before an old massive door in the corner. On its surface, strange patterns, serpent eyes, looking as if into the soul. He approached, and at that very second, the banging stopped. But from behind the door came a hiss. "Who's there?" he said quietly, but clearly. "Is anyone here?" Silence. He reached out his hand. The handle gave way easily. The door opened. Behind it stood something. Naked. Pale. Human, yet simultaneously non-human. A maw full of sharp, crooked teeth. A body as if scorched, hideous. It growled. And before Stas could recoil, the creature struck. He was thrown back several meters. His head hit the wall. Darkness closed in an instant. He woke up again, back inside. Am I here again? I thought it was a dream. He got up. Staggering, he headed to the basement. On the wall, a light switch, a flick, and a huge crystal chandelier illuminated the ceiling. He froze. The basement looked like an expensive hotel room, luxurious, only with centuries of dust and cobwebs. A bed, double, wooden, neatly made. On the walls, portraits of unknown people. Furniture, antique and perfect condition. Chairs with armrests in the shape of vases. Who the hell arranged all this? He whispered. And why? He walked over to the nightstand by the bed, opened it. In the second drawer, a key with the initials KM, bloodied, severed finger, and a note, "Mistake number 1. He opened the package, which he should not have done." Ice ran down his spine, but he forced himself to take the key, then walked over to the old wardrobe. Inside, a courier uniform, Molnia Company. On the badge, Sergei. He examined the entire basement and, finding nothing else, went upstairs. Again, a crash. He rushed towards the sound. Another door. Approaching the door, he froze. The crash disappeared. All right, he exhaled. Here goes nothing. He opened the door. A kitchen, empty shelves, a row of refrigerators. On the tables, burning candles, no one. He moved cautiously, quietly, between the shelves, and suddenly, a growl, a thud, a crash, footsteps, wet, soaking. He quickly crouched down, hid behind a refrigerator, raised his head, saw her, that very creature. It turned, saw him, and ran. He darted from his spot, dove between the shelves. The footsteps died down. He looked around. The creature was sitting on a freezer chest. He sneezed. The creature jolted and rushed straight at him. He managed to open the freezer, jump inside, slam the lid shut. The creature jumped on top, clawed, growled, thrashed in fury. And then everything went quiet. Stas, hidden inside the freezer, barely breathed. He listened, but the creature was gone. No sounds, only his pulse in his ears. He slowly cracked open the door, peeked out, and making sure everything was clear, climbed out. Glass shards crunched under his foot. Just as he was about to leave, he noticed out of the corner of his eye inside the freezer, in the corner, a small, worn notebook. He bent down, took it out, and opened it. It turned out to be a diary. The handwriting trembled, the lines were written in haste. I found an ancient note inside the package. It said, "First the client disappeared, then my family. I tried to escape, but the curse had already begun." A coldness spread through Stas inside. He gripped the diary tighter. He left the kitchen and knew, this is just the beginning. Part 3, the library. The way home. Finding himself in the corridor, he noticed smeared green slime on the wall. From it, as if scratched out, letters emerged. Library. He froze. He remembered those books on the second floor, scattered on the floor. He hadn't paid them attention then. Now, it seemed important. He returned upstairs to where he had previously noticed the books. The floor was strewn with volumes. Some were torn, stained. Next to them, an old door. He opened it. The room turned out to be a bedroom. A beautiful, almost handmade carpet covered almost the entire floor. On the sides of the bed, 4 bookshelves, all filled with books, but on the floor, dozens more, scattered haphazardly. Where did these books come from then? Stas muttered, looking around. He began to examine the room, and suddenly, he noticed an unevenness in the floor under the bed. Pushing the bed and carpet aside, he peered underneath. A metallic hatch, small, with an engraving in the shape of a cat's eye. On it, an inscription, "The way home." The hatch had no handle, no protrusions, no lock. Smooth as a mirror, no matter how much Stas tried to pry it open, to grab onto anything, nothing worked. He sat down right on the floor. Maybe it's a book title? He exhaled. Maybe there's A clue? He began to sort through the books lying on the floor, opening them one after another, and suddenly, he found it. The Way Home. The title was displayed on the cover, but inside, empty. All pages. Blank. Not a word. Not a symbol. Stas started to get nervous. He sharply turned around and accidentally glanced at the top shelf of one of the bookcases. There, one book was missing. He stood up, picked up The Way Home, inserted it into the empty spot on the shelf. Click. The floor beneath his feet made a muffled click, and then a metallic scrape. He sharply turned. The hatch under the bed opened. At the same second, a sharp, vibrating hum echoed through the house. Thudding. Heavy footsteps, as if a horned monster was rushing down the corridor. Stas screamed, "You again!" How much more can this go on? He dashed to the room door, slammed it shut, and finding no latch, propped it with the bed. Then ran to the hatch in the floor. He knelt down, shone his flashlight inside. Darkness there, no ladder, no rope, no way to safely descend. Behind him, a crash, powerful. The door creaked. The creature was tearing its way in, claws scraped against the wood, emitting an unbearable screech. Stas, without thinking, jumped. He was falling. First, free fall. Then, a sideways impact. He was sliding, as if through a pipe, along a slippery surface. The fall continued. He didn't understand anything, just flying. Minutes felt like an eternity. Finally, he shot out into a small, dimly lit room. He landed on concrete, right in front of a shelf. On it lay an old VHS tape. Next to it, a VCR and a tiny television. He walked over, inserted the tape, pressed play. On the screen, panic. Sergei, the courier, on the verge of hysteria. He speaks into the camera. I opened the package. There was a seal on it, the symbol, an eye. After that, I started seeing it, the entity, in every corner of the house, in every reflection. He tried to burn the contents of the package, but the house began to change its form, space. Last words. I'm trapped. I became part of the house. The recording cut off, and on the screen, against the backdrop of silence, an inscription appeared. Mistake number 2. He tried to destroy the curse without completing the ritual. Looking around, Stas noticed the only exit, up the stairs. At the end, a narrow opening in the wall. He climbed up, crawled inside. The passage was dark, square, concrete. It led somewhere forward and upward. He crawled for a long time, until finally, he found himself in a new room. And it was strange, wooden, completely filled with old wall-mounted clocks, all the clocks with hands. And they all were running backward, except for one, huge, human-sized. In the center of the room, it had no hands. He looked up. On the ceiling, in a burnt inscription, it was written, "Time to turn back." As soon as he started examining the room, a notification suddenly arrived on his phone. He flinched, pulled out his phone. The screen lit up. Messenger, sender, 2237. 3 photos. Central hall, carpet, bathroom, one of the refrigerators in the kitchen. "What is this?" he whispered. "I've seen these numbers somewhere before." And suddenly, it struck him. 2237, the time from Sergei's consignment note. The clocks. He exhaled. This time needs to be set. But where are the hands? Part 4. The hunt for the clock hands. Hands. Without them, he wouldn't be able to set anything. The time, 2237. He was sure of it. Only one thing left, to find the missing parts. He looked at the photos. First, the carpet in the central hall. Second, the bathroom, Third, the refrigerator in the kitchen. Without losing a minute, he headed to the central hall, the very one where he first felt the house. Watching him, he pushed the carpet aside and immediately noticed something metallic gleamed in a fold of the fabric. The first hand. He picked it up, wiped off the dust, and shoved it into his pocket. Next, he went searching for the bathroom. But no matter how much he walked around the first floor, nothing. All the doors were locked. All except the kitchen. Okay, I'll start with the third one, he decided, and entered the kitchen again. Refrigerators, shelves, the same muted candlelight. He slowly began to examine each refrigerator. And there, in one of them, deep inside, an old safe. On the front panel, a keyhole. He took out that very key with the initials KM. He had found it in the basement. Inserted it. Click. But the key didn't fit. Stas cursed to himself. And then it all started again. Sloshing footsteps. Somewhere nearby, the creature was approaching, slowly, wetly, relentlessly. Stas began to retreat, quietly, step by step. He walked towards the exit of the kitchen and suddenly slipped. Under his feet, greenish slime. He crashed to the floor. At that moment, loud banging came from the kitchen. A crash, a growl. The creature had hurt him. Stas tried to get up, but the slippery mass made it difficult to rise. And it emerged, it approached, loomed over him, maw wide open. Slime dripped from it right onto Stas. And suddenly, the creature leaned closer. He froze. In its black, deep-set eyes, he saw a face, tormented, distorted, human. For a moment, it was his face. The creature silently lifted him and threw him with force against the wall. Blackout. He woke up in the bathroom. The very one that was in one of the photos. His clothes dry. No slime, no blood. As if it hadn't happened. But pain pounded in his head, as if after an accident. He slowly got up, looked around, nearby, the wash basin. He leaned down, washing his face with cold water. Above the wash basin, a medicine cabinet. He opened it. On the second shelf, an antique box. He slightly opened the lid. The second hand, he exhaled, took it and headed for the exit. But he didn't exit the way he intended. Before him, a corridor lined with mirrors. The walls, a mosaic of reflections. All distorted, multicolored. In each mirror, Stas's distorted face. Some with alien features. The floor transparent. Beneath it, the second floor. As if he were walking on glass, and beneath him, a bottomless drop. Ahead, one door. He took a step. Behind him, a crack. The glass under his foot crunched. He froze. Took another step. The cracking intensified. The mirrors began to crack. Shards, exploding, flying in all directions. He lunged forward, the corridor collapsing right behind him. Glass shards cut his clothes, scratched his face. He gritted his teeth, ran with all his might. Finally, a door. He threw it open and darkness. He barely managed to stop, but some force pushed him in the back. He falls. Around him, emptiness. He's flying for a long time, passing him. Clock hands, numbers. Endless clock faces sliding by. He squeezed his eyes shut, his heart pounding. And suddenly, an impact. He falls onto a bed. That same bedroom, with the books. Second floor. He abruptly stands up, his breath hitched. He knows where to go. He runs downstairs to the room with the clocks, takes out the hands, sets them on the clock face. 22:37. All the wall clocks in the room stop simultaneously. From the central huge clock at the base, a small shelf slides out. On it, a key. He takes it. The metal, cold, but light. Stas grips it tightly in his fist. He knows this is not the end yet. Part 5. The seal, blood, and the ritual. He exited the room with the clocks, clutching the key in his hand. He returned to the kitchen. Inside, everything was as before. Empty shelves, darkness, silence. He walked over to the safe that lay in one of the refrigerators, inserted the key into the keyhole, and turned. Click. The safe opened. Inside, a sealed letter. He carefully opened it. Inside, a photograph. On it, the Courier Sergei, standing in that very room with the clocks. In the corner of the photograph, a signature, KM. Below the picture, a handwritten sheet of paper. To complete the ritual, you will need the sender's photograph, the delivery consignment note, a drop of the next courier's blood, wax collected from the kitchen, a ring that fell from the entity's hand in the basement. All items must be placed on the altar. If everything is done correctly, the ritual will work. The house will be destroyed. Stas didn't even hesitate. He snatched a candle from the table and rushed to the basement. He went down. Dust swirled in the air. The light of the chandelier swayed overhead. He began to search the room. He darted from corner to corner, opened drawers, and peered behind furniture. And there, in the farthest corner, under an old wardrobe, he felt the ring. Darkened metal. The stone, as if burned from within. There was something wrong with it. Alive. He picked it up and immediately felt time was pressing. Sloshing footsteps. A sound he already knew by heart. She was coming. How much longer can this go on, huh? Stas hissed. He darted under the bed and hid. The creature entered the basement. Footsteps. Sloshing. The creak of old parquet. Green slime dripped from its maw, but it disappeared the moment it touched the floor. The creature grumbled, mumbled, and in its voice, he heard a human echo, as if someone inside it was begging for help. About 15 minutes, and it left, mumbling, half walking, half disintegrating. Stas waited for silence. He emerged, clenched his fists, and rushed upstairs. But he hadn't even gone a few meters. A roar. The chase. He dashed to the room with the clocks. He ripped the door open, slammed it shut behind him. There was nothing to prop it with, and he, without thinking, climbed into the pile of standing clocks by the wall, went deep between the massive casings, and hid. The creature ran past, didn't notice him, or didn't want to notice. He waited, counted his heartbeats. Then he emerged. He stood before the central clock, huge, like a gateway to another world. Behind it, a blockage. Dozens, maybe hundreds of clocks. Grandfather clocks, wall clocks, forged clocks. He began to clear them away, slowly, carefully. Each ticked in its own way, as if tangling time. Finally, having cleared everything, he found a small door, metallic, without decorations. On it, an engraving, KM. He inserted the key he found, turned, the lock clicked. Behind the door, absolute darkness. He pulled out his phone. The screen flickered and went black. Dead battery. He inhaled, squeezed through the opening, and began to crawl. The passage was narrow, damp, like the gullet of a living organism. He crawled and crawled until he felt there was nothing ahead. His hands found no support. Down. Emptiness. He tried to reach out, lost his balance, and fell. Not just a fall, a slide, as if down a smooth, slippery chute. The darkness around him trembled. Images flashed past, flashes, clock hands, eyes, faces, and silence. Suddenly, light. He shot out of the tunnel and crashed onto the stone floor. He got up. Before him, a round room without doors, without windows, like an ancient temple lost in the depths of the house. Frescoes on the walls, faces of people, worn away. All had open mouths, screaming in silence. From their eyes, streaks. In the corners, skulls with burning green candles. The floor strewn with bones, scraps of uniform with ammonia patch. The smell of blood, copper, and decaying wax. In the center, an altar. A black stone slab. The legs in the shape of skeletal hands, as if holding the slab suspended. To the left, a channel leading to a cracked seal with the symbol of a serpent's eye. To the right, an indentation, perfectly fitting for the ring. In the center, a palm print, deep, with scratches inside, as if someone had tried to break free. Inscription on the stone, blood seals. Wax locks. The ring yields. If you err, you will become me, he began. He placed Sergei's photograph, the delivery consignment note. He took the knife, made a deep cut on his palm, placed his hand in the print. The blood didn't fall. It was drawn upwards, against the force of gravity, filling the carved shape. The altar drank it. He lit a candle, held it to the channel, but his hand trembled, and a drop fell past. Mistake. From the shadow behind the altar, the creature crawled out, but now its appearance was distorted. Body, sometimes naked and bony, sometimes in the rags of a courier uniform. Face, alternately the snout of a monster and Sergei's face, faded eyes, mouth, and bloody foam. Voice, hoarse with either an animal roar or a human whisper. Don't do as I did. The entity lunges towards the altar but stumbles. Its left hand suddenly grabs its own throat. Stas jumps aside while the creature struggles with itself. Step 1. He pours wax again, this time into the channel. The seal begins to melt. Step 2. He presses the ring in. The stone cracks like bone. Step 3. The entity breaks free, but its leg grows attached to the floor. Sergei is hindering it. Final moment. Stas completes the ritual. The altar explodes with blue flame. The creature screams with two voices. Thank you, Sergei. No, monster. The walls collapse, opening a way outside. But behind Stas, a click is heard. It's the ring rolling across the floor, stopping at his feet. Stas runs out. Behind him, the house collapses into a black point. His phone rings in his pocket. New delivery, Street, Lesnaya, 66B. Client, unknown. He notices the ring at his feet. He picks it up. It's warm, as if alive. Reflection in a puddle. For a second, his eyes become slit-like the creature's. Stas loses consciousness. He opens his eyes. He's lying on the grass by the rusty gate of House 66B. His body is whole, but his clothes are covered in dirt and blood, as if from real wounds. In his backpack, that same black package. On it, a new label. Next, address, Street, Lesnaya, 66B. Client, unknown. He takes out his phone, and there are 10 missed calls from the dispatcher. Last SMS. Where are you, you bastard? Deliver the package! Stas stands up and frantically grabs the package. It pulsates like a heart. Suddenly, he sees a reflection in a puddle. Behind him stands the creature, but it's not her. It is himself, with empty eyes and a mouth stretched into a smile. A whisper on the wind. You're already inside. You just don't know it yet. Stas slowly turns towards House 66B. The gate creaks, opening by itself. A shadow flashes in the window. A hand in a courier glove beckons him inside. On the sign at the gate, the number 66 has worn off. Now it reads, House B.E.Z.D.Y, House of the Void. The end.